Good evening. Back for another edition of Meteorology Lab. And we've got clear skies here. We had a thunderstorm roll through earlier. You saw that on the opening time lapse. And now we've got temperatures dropping 62, 61 degrees. And we're starting to get into kind of a cool pattern here for this week and possibly going into next week too. There's the radar, kind of a underwhelming picture there. We kind of expected a little bit of severe weather today, and we didn't really get that. And that's kind of a good thing in terms of, damage and stuff like that. But this has been kind of an underwhelming spring and winter, I'd have to say. Not much in the way of severe weather. I've been trying to look for a good, solid severe weather outbreak to kind of cover, and we just have not had one, and we're already up at about April 26th here. So I don't know. We will have chase weather coming up in May, so that's going to be coming down the pipe, and we'll certainly have something interesting when that comes around here. Okay. Let's take a look at the chart sequence here. And we kind of segue into SPC's chart here, and we can see the cold front. It's already made quite a bit of progress all the way to the Mississippi River. High pressure moving in behind, getting some cool northerly winds back over Oklahoma and the Texas Panhandle, and things are already starting to kind of shift around back in Colorado here. So let's check out the 250 millibar chart. There's the trough on the high plains right there, and check out this jet stream here, 125 knots over Oregon here, and flowing into New Mexico here, rounding the base of the trough, and then coming up around Iowa and Missouri or Minnesota right there. And we've got quite a pipeline of strong winds all the way back into the central Pacific there, and that's what we call a zonal flow. 500 millibar chart looking like this. Not much different from the 250 millibar chart. This is up at 18,000 feet. And we've got the main trough from about around Dodge City to Midland. And then embedded in that probably a couple of smaller waves. I can definitely see one there near St. Louis. And there's probably another one embedded right in there. This is where we really have to use the vorticity, heights and vorticity chart to kind of pin that down a little bit better. And then we've got the 700 millibar chart, and this is showing a little bit of the capping flowing north over Louisiana and Arkansas. And you see that 11 degree reading right there, and 9. That's getting into some pretty solid capping right there, and that's limiting the initiation to mostly right along the front. So the front itself acting kind of like a big wedge. And then the 850 millibar chart, you can see we've got a little bit of the low-level jet this morning showing up around Shreveport and Little Rock, about 20 to 30 knots right there. And then here comes the front out of Oklahoma and the Texas Panhandle right there. Main baroclinic system well up into Minnesota right there. And then that extends up into Lake Superior as a warm front like that. And in behind that, you can see the cold air advection and the high pressure up at 850 millibars right there. So this all resembles quite a bit, a lot like what the surface chart shows, except the patterns are a little bit further north than where we would find it at the surface. Okay, let's update the infrared imagery, and we'll take a look at this here. can see the system pushing all the way into the Mississippi River region right there. And we've got some warmer tops down into the Interstate 10 corridor here. So the stronger convection mostly limited to southeastern Arkansas right there. And a lot of the problems we're having here in Louisiana, that's going to be mostly due to the stronger capping. Another factor, however, could be the warmer temperatures aloft in that region, because we got to keep in mind the polar front jet kind of moving through the Interstate 20 corridor, and the further south you go, the warmer the temperatures in the mid and upper levels are, and that's going to tend to take away from the Cape. Okay, here's what the thickness and isobars look like. Give me just a second. All right. All right. Cold front, remember we're going to keep that on the warm side of the gradient. So that's going to run basically from about Lake Superior down to around Memphis. And then down towards Corpus Christi and San Antonio there. And we can see that baroclinic gradient extended all the way into the Pacific right there. So conceivably we could keep a little bit of the front kind of trailing back across California like that. However, the high pressure coming on shore here, you can see that high right there. High pressure tends to spread apart the temperature contrasts. So that's kind of a frontalysis process. So even if we did have a front across California like this, we would see the temperature gradients kind of diverging through there. So that would act to break apart the front. Okay, let's see, where are we going to go next? I think we will go to the soundings. Let's take a look at the evening sounding for Jackson, Mississippi. We'll just adjust these values here real quick. And here comes Jackson. And there you can see some pretty strong capping there, centered almost precisely at 700 millibars. 700 millibar level, about 10,000 feet, located right there. And you can see the warmer temperatures aloft here. And this is where the Cape is really critical, because let's take a lifted parcel. So that's going to be a parcel lift used in the evening conditions. Then we lift that along the moist eddy about like that. You can pretty much see that if we do clear the cap, it's this level up here, 500, 400, 300, 200 millibars. This is all very important for helping to generate Cape out of that sounding, because the further the environment is to the left of that parcel lift, the greater the instability and the greater the Cape. Now the other problem is, like I've mentioned last night, the area where we're generating the Cape is up pretty high. So there's the parcel lift, and you can see that most of the Cape is being generated up about 14,000 feet. And this gets into another concept called Cape density. And let me see if I can show you another sounding to kind of explain what I'm talking about here. Let's see here. Let me try Lincoln. Maybe I can explain with that. Nope. I think we'll just go with this Nashville sounding, and I'll construct kind of an imaginary parcel lift like this. Let's say that we do get initiation, a lot of moisture, very warm temperatures, and we have a parcel lift kind of like that. Well, you can see that we're generating CAPE. Again, this is pretty high, but the CAPE is being generated way up here. Generally with CAPE density, the faster you can generate the CAPE in the very lowest levels, that tends to have a big impact on storm severity right there. So basically, if you spread the environmental temperature line away from the parcel lift very strongly in the lower part of the sounding, that's kind of what we're looking for, and we just don't have that today. So the soundings are kind of working against us this evening, and that's the reason a lot of the convection is starting to shut down. We'll take a quick look at the dynamics here. This is the chart for right now. You can see the channeled flow rounding the base of the trough right there around Austin, up through Shreveport, and then up to Paducah. And there's that big wave that's triggering most of the showers and storms right there. So that's not extending very far south. This area here, that's pretty well south of the jet. And this is where we have a lot less instability in place. Okay, give me just 1 second here. Okay, let me find an interesting graphic. I guess I'll bring up the Jacksonville or the Jackson radar, and we'll take a look at the chat here and see what we got going on here. All right, I got Andrew checking in, and Mark, and Mike Wan. And Eddie, Sue M, preparing for a squall line up there in Indiana. Yeah, we need to go up the line and see what's going on further north. This does tend to be a very Texas-centric webcast here, but we will try to cover a little bit more of the Midwest here very shortly. Got Fun with Tech here, and Ryan Myers, Megan John up in Minnesota, Kevin McKinney, Ryan Toomies, Brian Harp finally got wet in northwestern Arkansas. Ron Chalfant, probably not much going on there under the high pressure in California. Sarah Wood mentioning the severe thunderstorm watch for northern Indiana. Got Alexi checking back in, and Megan John looking for snow and ice in northern Minnesota. Dr. Wells checking in, and Mike Estwick. Victor Cabo made it in. And Mike Estwick sent some Virga pictures. Unfortunately, I've not gotten to my email yet. I'm going to have to probably bring those up tomorrow, unfortunately. Michael Burrell watching the huge squall line marching towards Georgia. Might be an early storm spotting day. Justin Pulliam mentioned 2 tornadoes last night northeast of Tulsa. And Carl Berghoff is here. Ryan Toomey is watching the flight delays due to this line of showers and storms. Justin mentioning 104 degrees in Brownsville. Wow, that's 104 is definitely up there for Brownsville. Let's take a look at that. And oh yeah, we got Will OTC in. Gearing up to head down to the forests and hills for tomorrow. Okay, this is the new digital atmosphere program that I'm working on right now. And let's bring this south, and I can already see the temperatures going up pretty rapidly down in South Texas. I'm going to have to bring this further south. Let's check out those really hot readings there in Brownsville and see what that looked like. Okay, those hot temperatures was probably about 22Z. So we'll bring up that data. Slowly coming in here. And while we're working on that, let me just take a quick look at the radar, see what's coming through Mississippi here. Looks like a very two-dimensional squall line. In fact, if I take a slice through the squall line, here we go. There's our storm right there. You can see the anvil spreading well out ahead of that line. So, well, what do we see from this? Well, not a whole lot, but I do want to go up to the higher tilts because basically the areas that have high reflectivity that are suspended at high levels, those are the cells that we're going to want to watch. So this cell right here, this is up at 20,000. We're seeing about 51 dBz's there. That's not particularly high, but that does kind of suggest that that cell here, this one here, is fairly strong. We go up to 3.1. And yeah, this looks to be the strongest storm in that part of Mississippi right here in southeast Indianola County. So we're getting 50 dBz's up at 33,000 feet. So at the surface, that cell is going to look like this. And sometimes we have to keep an eye on that because these very high intensities in the upper parts of the storm, those can indicate the onset of severe convection sometimes. So we'd have to watch for possible bowing in these areas here. Elsewhere along the line, let's see here. These 50 dBz values are up at about 23,000. Not much above that, though. Very disorganized. And then working our way down the line. 50 dBz's at about 15,000. So these cells here definitely do weaken out. And the cells here have a much less organized appearance for sure. So the most strongest storms again look like they're coming up on Greenwood, Missouri, or Greenwood, Mississippi. And that's about it for that part of the line. So let me go up a little bit further to the north. I'm going to go up to the Paducah radar. And while that's coming in, let's take a look at South Texas. And there's those hot temperatures in South Texas right there. 103 there at McAllen. 101 here. I'm not sure what town that is, but definitely some very hot weather. And then I can see 104 here. I guess that's San Fernando or Ciudad Victoria. and 100 along the coast right here. Okay. So here's the picture in Tennessee, Kentucky, and Illinois. Got a weaker segment of the line here, but what looks like a little bit of a bow echo here. Just southeast of Carbondale. A couple of other cells, another one near Valparaiso, I guess. And then we'll work further up the line. Let me take this up to Indianapolis and see if we're getting anything on that radar. Okay, while that comes in, let me just finish off the charts here. I'm going to move this sector. I'm going to look at the high resolution rapid refresh to check the overnight forecast, and I'll bring that out to the Ohio Valley. So this will give us our forecast picture overnight. Let me get the GFS loaded up, and then we'll just head forward with the forecast here. Okay, so here's the weather picture overnight. You can see a lot of discrete convective elements all the way up to Paducah. Then for the first half of the evening, looks like things kind of weaken gradually with time. The main baroclinic low well up in Illinois. There's the cold front. And then by the end of the period, looks like we got a lot of showers, gradually weakening, moving into Nashville, Louisville, and Indianapolis there. All right, so not much overnight. And then as far as the GFS forecast, you can see the main baroclinic low moves up into the Great Lakes right here. This is dawn right here, and you can see the cold front moving eastward into Alabama. Warm front moving into northern Ontario here. And a bit of ridging coming into the plains, and here comes what looks like the next system. I think this may be some lee side low development. I'm not too sure that that's an actual baroclinic low, but we'll take a look and see. Nope, I think that may be a baroclinic low because I can see it pulling out right there. Okay, so by the time we do the webcast tomorrow night, we've got cyclogenesis right there around Guyman, Oklahoma. And we get a warm front developing along the Red River. And there's that cold front extending back into California and Arizona. Our storm system in the Great Lakes is now pulling up into Ontario. Okay, so a rapid warming trend for Texas here. And then for our webcast on Friday, looks like some new frontogenesis along the Red River right there in Texas. Probably chances of rain going up there in northern Oklahoma. Or I'm sorry, in Oklahoma itself. There's our cold front. And looks like convection rapidly breaks out for Friday night going into Saturday here. For the webcast for Saturday evening, There's our warm front moving northward into the Ohio River Valley. MCS pushing eastward through eastern Oklahoma into East Texas. And very good temperature gradient in West Texas right there, and snow showers in Colorado there, in the Sangre de Cristos there. Unseasonably cold weather there for Colorado. Things move quickly eastward on Sunday. So we got our MCS shifting eastward overnight. Warm front moves up into the Great Lakes. And occluded front into Iowa right there. If the temperatures were a little bit colder, we would probably have a bit of a blizzard patterned around Omaha and Sioux Falls there. But it looks like we're just a little bit too warm. Then for Monday, things push eastward again. Cold front moves into the Appalachian region. Warm front up into Quebec, and there's our occlusion there in Ontario. More cold weather pushing southward. You can see these thickness lines push southward into the central U.S. Then for Tuesday, we got new development out to the west. For Wednesday's webcast, we're going to see the next front pushing southeastward. So we're seeing the temperatures starting to come down again. Cold air advection in Texas and Oklahoma right there. And for Thursday, that moves out to the east coast right there. More strong cold air advection into the central U.S. and the 540 line all the way down to Springfield, Paducah, and Indianapolis right there. So this is almost on the verge of creating snow showers. Okay. Then for Friday evening, cold front makes it out to New England. High pressure over the Gulf of Mexico, and we get some downslope flow over the central U.S. So things are going to rapidly warm up here in Kansas, Nebraska, and Missouri. And then for Saturday, we get a little bit of an Alberta clipper here over Minnesota. So you see that flow pulling in over the Dakotas like that. So this is going to be mostly a Canadian system here, and that'll move towards the southeast over the weekend here. So probably we'll be gearing up for a little bit of maybe upslope. You can see that right here in Nebraska and the Dakotas, Wyoming. So we may see a chance of maybe some severe here. I would keep an eye on that for that. This is May 8th. And then around May 9th and 10th, there comes a very strong 1030 high, kicking some cold air southward. So another shot of cold air for Texas. 540 line making it down once again. So, of course, this is going to mean long wave troughing across the central and eastern U.S. Okay, then we get pretty much to the end of the run right there. And let's take a look at the radar real quick. Indianapolis has just come up, and I see a few cells way out to the west here near Champaign and Danville. And looking at the surface chart, I can see we've got some 60s dew points in place. So a little bit of support there for thunderstorms, 70 over 60. But the cold front is on its way, acting like a big wedge, and that'll rapidly push eastward through Illinois and Indiana overnight. Okay. I think that's about all I got for tonight. Let me take one last look at chat here. Got 37 viewers here. I was hoping to crack 40. Maybe one of these days we'll be coming up on 50 here. That's going to be awesome. Okay, Brett Dean seeing a little bit of buffering. Ryan says storms possibly severe into late Friday and Saturday. Alex says too much cold. And Sue M watching that bow echo headed towards her. Okay. All right, that's about all I got for today. I appreciate you all watching, and hopefully we'll see you all tomorrow. Have a good evening.